Assalamu alaikum. Today, inshallah, I'm going to talk about the high order thinking from a theoretical perspective. First of all, we have the contents here, and the contents include what's the high order thinking, a definition, what's the importance of the high order thinking, and next one is Bloom's taxonomy, the high order thinking vs lower order thinking, or a comparison between the high order thinking questions. How do I assess the development of high order thinking in my students? How can I know if my students are developing or not? Using the high order thinking, this is what I mean. How to stimulate or activate the high order thinking in the classroom. And the conclusion at last. The first question, what's the high order thinking? All my new teachers talked about this point, but here we are talking about the top 3 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. I mean here analyzing, evaluating, and curating. And you talked about this point, so I will skip it quickly. The skills that go beyond memorizing information and help you connect information in a meaningful way, and use those connections to solve problems. The second question is, what's the importance of high order thinking? Why is it important? High order thinking prepares students as original thinkers for the life, for the daily life. So we teach the students to be a good thinkers, to use this to solve the daily problems they have in their life. They will be able to seek out and apply information to solve complex problems. So this will help them not only in the exam, or we don't teach the students to get the full mark in the final exam, or we don't teach them the high order thinking to get the highest mark in the final exam, but also to be a good thinker, to solve the problems that he faces in his life, in the real life situations. Mr. Sa, Bloom's taxonomy, the thinking skills, and you talked about this point, the lower part and the higher part. The lower order thinking includes remember, understanding, applying, and the higher order thinking, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. And you as well talked about this point. Here we have a comparison, as you said, Mr. Muhammad. Here we have a comparison, as you said, between the high order thinking and the lower order thinking, including some points or some aspects here. For the cognitive processes, where for the higher order, for the higher order thinking, or relating to the cognitive processes, higher order thinking includes analysis, synthesis, evaluation, comparing and contrasting. But for the lower order thinking, we have remembering, understanding, memorizing, and things like that needs just a little bit thinking. For the type of tasks, relating to the type of tasks, the high order thinking is often complex, the task. What kind of tasks do we use in the high order thinking? It's often complex and open-ended. But for the lower order thinking, it's just simple tasks. Teaching and learning approach. What kind of approach is suitable for the high order thinking? Occurs the type or the approach that we use in the high order thinking. It's always depends on the active learning. So we have to use the group discussion, we have to use debates and things like that. For the lower order thinking, it's a teacher centered. So that kind of lecturing is suitable for the lower order thinking, or the traditional way of teaching. Discussion and debates are discouraged in the lower order thinking because we don't motivate or encourage the students to analyze or evaluate or create in the lower order of thinking. For the learning outcomes here, in the high order thinking, the students are assessed on deep understanding, but here we assess the students on just memorizing or repeating or recalling the information they have. For the skill development, what kind of skills we need in the high order thinking? We need the critical thinking and creativity. But for the lower order thinking, it's just basic information, basic comprehension and memorization. This is the Bloom taxonomy, and you talked about this, so I will skip this point quickly. Here, how can I assess? Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay, thank you. How do I assess the development of the higher order thinking in my students? How can I know that my students are developing using the high order of thinking? As we know, there are two ways of assessment: the formative assessment and the summative assessment. The formative assessment here, I mean the ongoing assessment that's all the year round. So you can use this inside each single lesson or each single class. You can use the formative assessment. For example, when you warm up the class for the session or for the class, you can ask an open-ended question just to stimulate the students to analyze, to evaluate, to create. And you talked about this one, and you gave many examples, especially Mr. Muhammad. You gave many examples for the how to ask a question like that. For the summative assessment, or I mean the assessment by the end of the year, like the final exam or the final test, you can ask the students to do a project, for example. You can ask them to design a poster, to do something that needs creativity, needs evaluating, needs analyzing. So I can ask them, or what I do always is to ask the students to do a project, to do something that requires a lot of analyzing, evaluating, and creating. How to stimulate or activate or encourage the students in the high order thinking inside the classroom? We can activate the students or encourage the students to use the higher order thinking in the classroom by the group discussions. So when you have a discussion, we always use the group inside the class, especially to discuss certain topics, reading, writing, and so on. Debates, and Mr. Saad last year did a debate. It was brilliant and it was really good. So problem-solving activities, you can address the students or indulge them in activities that needs more thinking to solve the problems they face in these activities. Real life situations, and the KWL. In the KWL, you can ask the students to tell you what they know and what they want to know and what they have already learned. So there is a kind here of analyzing. Yes. When they mention what they want to know or what they have learned or what they already know. Okay,
yes.
So there is a kind of analyzing here in
yes.
This kind of information they write.
Yes, and actually in debates, the students defend their point of view. That's
yes,
also
very
higher.
good. And
yes.
this is a good point or good activity to activate or stimulate the higher order thinking. In the conclusion, I think the high order thinking it's a must. It's a necessary skill for the 21st century. All of our students, we should encourage our students, or we have to encourage our students to use the high order thinking. We have to encourage them to analyze, to evaluate, to create, because this will help them in their daily life, as I said before, in their daily life situations, how to solve the problems. This will help them in their career, in the upcoming life.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. That was